Good morning. This hearing is called to order. It's the public hearing of the Appropriations Committee on bills number 140861, 140862, 140863. My name is W. Wilson, Jr., Chair of the committee. I note that a quorum is present. To my left is Councilwoman Maria Canonia-Sanchez. To my right is Councilwoman Janie Blackwell. To her right is Councilman James Kenney. The title of the bills number 140861, authorizing transfer and appropriation for fiscal year 2014 from the general fund from certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions to certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions. Bill number 140862, authorizing transfer and appropriation for fiscal year 2014 from the water fund from certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions to certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions. Bill number 140863, authorizing transfer and appropriations for fiscal year 2014 within the Aviation Fund from certain or all city offices, boards, departments, boards, and commissions to the Police Department and Director of Finance, Fringe Benefits. First witness is the Budget Director. Good morning, Ms. Reinhardt.
Good morning, Chairman Good, members of the Appropriations Committee. I am Rebecca Reinhardt, the Budget Director for the City. I appear before you today to offer testimony on bill numbers 140861, 140862, and 140863. These ordinances are needed to transfer appropriations to those agencies and expenditure classes where shortages have occurred and will allow the proper recording of final fiscal year 2014 obligations, which is required for the year-end closing of the financial records of the city. Bill 140861 transfers $20.2 million of 14 appropriations within the general fund from certain city departments to certain other city departments, including $50,959 to the Office of Housing and Community Development to allow payment of acquisition recycling funds to the Redevelopment Authority, an internal departmental transfer of $18,854 within the Mayor's Office of Transportation and Utilities to fully fund payroll charges resulting from the DC 47 wage increase, $188,133 to fleet management to fully fund overtime associated with last winter's snow and payroll charges resulting from the DC 47 wage increase. This amount is partially offset by an internal departmental transfer of about $48,000. $2.7 million to the Streets Department to fully fund payroll charges originating from last winter's snow fighting efforts, as well as the DC 47 wage increase. $2.9 million to the Fire Department to fully fund overtime and water charges for the fiscal year, partially offset by an internal departmental transfer of $32,910. $1.3 million to Parks and Rec to fully fund payroll charges resulting from the DC 47 wage increase. It's partially offset by an internal departmental transfer of $72,865. $6,634 to the Atwater Kent Museum to fully fund payroll charges resulting again from the DC 47 wage increase, non-rep wage increase. $3.8 million to the Department of Human Services to fully fund payroll charges from child welfare services, including the DC 47 and non-rep wage increase, $2.2 million of which will be provided internally. $2.16 million to the Prisons Department to fully fund payroll resulting in part from the DC 47 non-rep wage increase, partially offset by a transfer of $735,000. $97,348 to the Office of Supportive Housing to fully fund payroll charges resulting from the DC 47 and non-rep wage increase, partially offset by an internal transfer as well. An internal departmental transfer of $26,777 within the Treasurer's Office to fully fund payroll charges, again resulting from the DC 47 and non-rep wage increase. An internal departmental transfer of $10,314 within the City City Representative's Office to fully fund payroll charges from DC 47 non-rep wage increase. $40,266 to the City Planning Commission, and I might start to summarize a little bit if you don't mind. $297,853 to the Free Library, $9,239 to the Civil Service Commission, $85,475 to the District Attorney's Office, all largely for the DC 47 non-rep comp package. $866,000 to the sheriff to fully fund payroll charges for the fiscal year, and $5.5 million to the First Judicial District to appropriate funds per the zero growth agreement between the FJD and the city. This agreement requires the city to appropriate any surplus in the FJD general fund budget and a share of the revenue they generate. Bill number 140862 transfers $17.2 million within the water fund to fully fund the required payment to the rate stabilization fund as authorized under the water general bond ordinance. There is an amendment we are offering to that ordinance. I have copies of that here. Okay, great. To correct an error in the from section to read purchase of services instead of the current personnel services. Bill number 140863 transfers $6.1 million within the Aviation Fund from the Department of Revenue Sinking Fund Commission to the Police Department in the amount of $91,000 to fully fund payroll charges, and to the Director of Finance Fringe Benefits in the amount of $5.99 million to fully fund fringe benefit costs accrued during the fiscal year. I respectfully request that you report these bills out of committee with a favorable recommendation, and I further request that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading at the next session of council. I appreciate the opportunity to testify before you today, and also representatives from the departments involved in the transfer ordinance would be happy to answer questions as well.
Thank you for your testimony.
Sure.
This is last year's money,
Yes, it's fiscal 14.
and so it's already spent.
Yes, it has been.
Any other questions from members of the committee? No. Seeing none, we will move from our public meeting and public hearing to our public meeting to consider the bills. The chair recognizes Councilman Sanchez for a motion on bill number 140861.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that Bill 140861 be voted out of committee with a favorable recommendation, no rule suspension.
All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Bill number 140861 is reported out of this committee with a favorable recommendation. Chair now recognizes Councilman Sanchez for a motion on the amendment to Bill 140862.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for the amendment to Bill 140862.
All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The bill is amended. The chair now recognizes Councilman Sanchez for a motion on Bill 140862 as amended.
Mr. Chair, I move that Bill 140862 as amended be voted out of committee with a favorable recommendation.
All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Bill number 140862 as amended is reported out of this committee with a favorable recommendation. The chair recognizes Councilman Sanchez for a motion on the final bill 140863.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that Bill 140863 be moved out of this committee with a favorable recommendation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Bill number 140863 is reported out of the committee with favorable recommendation. This concludes our public meeting. Thank you very much.